What if I told you that an ancient Buddhist text holds a surprisingly simple, incredibly powerful technique for dealing with the stress of our modern world? Well, today we're diving deep into the Kṣitigarbha Sutra to unpack an idea that honestly feels more relevant right now than ever before.
I mean, really think about that for a second. We've all been there, right? That moment when you feel like you have absolutely no strength left. When it feels like everything is just crashing down on you from all sides. It's this universal feeling of being completely helpless. So what if there was a simple, accessible tool for that exact moment?
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with a really urgent question from a long time ago. Then we'll look at the pretty radical solution that was proposed, see how it was received, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of why it actually works. And we'll connect all of that to modern psychology and a practical tool you can actually use.
Okay, so our story kicks off with this urgent question from a figure named Kṣitigarbha Bodhisattva. He goes to the Buddha with his really deep concern, not for himself, but for the most vulnerable people out there.
And this is really key. Look who Kṣitigarbha is worried about. He's not talking about some advanced spiritual masters or enlightened monks. Nope. His focus is on ordinary people. People like you and me when we are at our absolute breaking point. You know, that moment when we feel like we have zero power left to help ourselves.
So he kneels before the Buddha and makes this incredibly direct, passionate plea. You can almost feel the urgency in his voice, can't you? He's not just asking some abstract philosophical question. He's on a mission. He's proposing a real, practical method to help people who are suffering the most.
And the solution he comes up with? Well, it's a total game changer. A radical shift he calls the easy path. And believe me, for its time, this was nothing short of revolutionary.
See, traditionally, spiritual liberation was seen as this hard path. It meant tons of discipline, really complex meditations, and a whole lot of effort. But Kṣitigarbha comes along and proposes this easy path. The idea is mind-blowingly simple. In a moment of total crisis, you just call out the name of an enlightened being. That's it. Seriously. No complicated rituals, no deep study needed, just a name. So you've got this almost oversimplified proposal. How does the Buddha react to it? Well, he reacts with what you can only describe as a resounding cosmic yes. The Buddha doesn't just agree, he's practically overjoyed. He basically says, yes, the time is perfect, share this with everyone, and do it quickly. Then he says that if this plan is put into motion, he can pass into nirvana without a single worry for the future of humanity. I mean, wow, talk about an incredible endorsement.
And this is so important. This wasn't just some casual nod of approval. This was the ultimate seal of approval from the highest possible authority. And that validation is what gives anyone who uses this method the psychological confidence to know that it's a verified, powerful, and effective practice.
Okay, but why does this actually work? How can the simple act of calling out a name have any real power? What's the mechanism behind it all? Let's unlock this. You know, the secret is all in understanding what a sacred name or a myogo really is. It's not just a tag or a label for someone. In this tradition, the name is seen as a kind of spiritual energy key. It's believed to contain the very essence, all the wisdom, all the compassion, all the merit of the being it represents. So when you use the key, you unlock the whole storehouse. So, on a psychological level, it works in 3 really clear steps. First, it instantly shifts your attention. When your brain is stuck in that feedback loop of panic and worry, just saying a name breaks the cycle. Second, it creates connection. In that moment of calling out, you stop being an isolated sufferer and become one who is supported. And third, it literally reframes your reality. You're changing the words in your mind from words of fear to words of peace.
And here is where things get truly fascinating. These ancient ideas, they have direct parallels in modern psychology. This isn't just a matter of ancient faith, it's actually psychologically sound.
Just look at this. The act of calling a name is basically what attachment theory calls finding a secure base, turning to a source of comfort when you're in distress. The Buddha's endorsement? That's the power of social validation, which tells our brains something is safe and effective. And constant repetition? That's a perfect description of cognitive reframing, or using positive affirmations to literally rewrite our negative thought patterns.
So this is all great, but what does it mean for you? What's the practical takeaway? Well, let's bring it all together and think about this as a kind of spiritual emergency fund.
Honestly, the best way to think about this practice is as a prepared miracle.
It's a resource that you cultivate over time so that you can draw on it instantly when you need it the most. It's like having this spiritual emergency fund, fully stocked and ready to go for any moment of mental or emotional crisis.
So, the ultimate takeaway is really this. In a real crisis, simplicity is power. The simplest act can be the most effective. Connection is this fundamental tool we have to overcome suffering. And this ancient practice gives us a direct, practical way to create that connection in an instant. It's a tool for everyone, but it's especially powerful for those moments when we feel the most alone.
And all of this leaves us with one final question to think about. This ancient text suggests that there's a key to a limitless storehouse of support, and that it's accessible through something as simple as a name. So, if you really had that key, what would you do with it?